This isn't just another podcast. We're crushing the taboos and we're rewriting the rules. It's the space where we normalize women becoming wealthy. If you're done playing small and ready to become the CEO of your life and the architect of your future, then my girl, you're in the right room. Welcome to your wealthy era. Welcome to the Wellthy CEO podcast.
Joining today is a dear friend of mine, Anna Lozano, who is an entrepreneur, mentor, investor, a mama of two, and the host of the Prosperity Playground podcast. In today's conversation, we talk about what it really means to evolve in your business, in motherhood, and identity. This episode is a reminder that success isn't about doing more. It's about being more present in what truly matters.
I am so grateful and excited to welcome a dear girlfriend of mine and a powerhouse female, Anna Lozano. Thank you for joining on the Wellthy CEO podcast today.
I'm so happy to be here. And this is like a long-standing friendship. I'm so pumped to be here.
Well, you were a part of my launch friends, my series, my supporters when I first came out with the podcast a couple of years ago now. And that was a previous name as the Freedom CEO. And as life will have it, it evolves. It should be evolving. That's the goal. And so now you're on the Wellthy CEO podcast. And, you know, I was going to share this with you before we hit record. And I was like, you know what? Screw that. Let's be raw. Let's be real. This is totally Anna's vibe and it's mine. You know, there's very few people that when I think about sitting down and talking with them, I'm like, you know, I don't need an outline. I don't need like 5 or 10 great questions or like, you know, talking to ChatGPT and saying, do a deep dive on this person. I'm like, let's just raw and riff because that's just like how, and you know what? I will say this too. If you're not following Anna, you definitely give her a follow on Instagram, but you will see you can have an intention and have a plan for the call or for your discussion. And oh my God, when you're in it, it's just going to go somewhere completely different. And you're like, okay, well, we're flowing with that.
We're flowing with, oh my gosh. And you know, as you're saying this, I feel like you and I together have gone through so many iterations and so many upgrades and so many pivots and shifts and life transformations, which is like so cool. I can't say that about that many people. And so to hold that depth of relationship and friendship and you know, we're in this iteration now. It's really exciting. And I love this. Also being a generator in human design, like, yeah, girl, I'm here to respond.
Right? Yes, you are. And that's why I was like, you know what? Like, let's just riff, you know? Because I just like, and there's so much going on right now too. Like when I think of, like you just said, you know, there's been so many reiterations of business and life and location, you know, like when we first connected, we were both like Oakville, GTA, Ontario, Canada, you know, and now you migrated, you know, to the other side of the country, west, and I went to Costa Rica, and then we both met up in Mexico, like moved up. So we have conquered a lot of territory, and that's just geography. Never mind business, life, you know, all the things. So I was not a mom when you and I first met.
I was going to say, I feel like Maya was just little. And I remember you dropping off a beautiful little care package. She must have been like, I don't know, maybe a toddler. And now you're a mama. It's so wild.
Yeah. So, and we were talking about, you know, Anna was asking me like, you know, how's it been? What's the hardest thing? And, you know, I think in general, anytime you have a change in life, it's going to affect your business and it's starting to find the new flow and really understanding that what you've always done doesn't mean that it's going to work now because there is a new version, there's a new evolvement. And so it's really, for me, it's been the surrender of letting go of what I knew worked.
Yes.
Could have been done better. Everything I think can always be done better, right? But what was working and, you know, what I was doing and thriving and in business. And now I've had to go, okay, I can no longer do that if my priority has shifted. And if my priority is now this little blessed human that I have, you know, you now have to find a new flow.
Yeah.
And that's like any life change is going to give you that invitation.
Yes.
Right.
And I do feel it's like at every stage in life, like the way that you say it is so eloquent. And I know for me, when I had Maya and then Sophie, who are now 7 and 9, like I had this intention, but I was also in my early 30s. I, was really in growth mode. Actually, we were just launching Love Powered, and I had the intention, and yet the overwhelm and the stress and the lack of quote unquote control, because we never have control, but you feel when things are flowing, you have a rhythm, you feel like you do have control. And so for me, that transition at 32 into motherhood, gosh, it really your response was so graceful and so eloquent. Like it was fucking hard for me. It took me out for a while and to find that rhythm and groove. And so it's like, these shifts and changes happen, and they can happen at any time. And it's like, how do you choose to approach it? And yet I had the intention to mother consciously and be a conscious parent. And yet it was the biggest, transition and transformation of my entire life. And it's like looking back, like, okay, what if I had my girls a bit later in life? Like, would I respond differently? Would I have more of a grounded approach? And so everything is always intentional and on purpose. And I feel like it's so important to give ourselves that grace. And also, the awareness of like every single moment we get to choose how we show up today, because the past is the past and now we're creating the future. So I'm just so happy for you. Like your response was beautiful, because I was asking as a friend, like, how are you? Because I know it is such a big transition and you do want to do it consciously and intentionally. And so that was coming from heart. And your response, like, I'm just so happy for you, because you did say she is quite easy. And it's like, yeah, it does make things more, it's never going to be easy, but simpler, right? When you have so much else going around. But priority is something that you said, which is key. It's like once you decide that this is the priority, to mother consciously, to make sure that your family nucleus is at the core, at the center of everything, I feel like everything around somehow just recalibrates to what you're putting out there.
Well, and it does make a difference, the time in which you have children.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's controlled and sometimes it's not, like sometimes that's planned and sometimes it's not. Like mine was not planned, but not unplanned. It was like God's plan. Like if it's the right time, it'll happen. But obviously when you have kids in your 20s versus your 30s versus like me, I was 40 years old when I had Koa. Those are very different stages of life where you as your own individual are discovering yourself in your 20s. You're kind of think you've got yourself figured out in your 30s and you're starting to go for it. Like that's like should be your grind mode, right? Like your 30s is like set you up for your 40s. And so I think for me, the blessing is I have been the favorite auntie and godmother to so many little humans for the last 20 years. Really, like my best girlfriend had her first at 21 or 22. And, she's now 18 and she's got 5 kids. And I have three godchildren over in Portugal that are, 11 is the oldest and I think 7 now is the youngest. And, so you get to learn from other people's parenting, good or bad, no judgment, but like, I would do that. I won't do that. Like, oh, that's a really good strategy. That's a good tactic. Oh, that is like, you get to learn and also be involved. And so now being in my 40s, it's like so crazy being in my 40s, I am less concerned about, I got to go out and find a job, get a job. I got to work and like raise a little human. Right. And so there is a very different, and everyone says a Koa is easy. And of course, then a lot of people will say to me afterwards, it has to do with my energy because, I'm calm around her. I'm grounded around her. And part of that is very intentional. Like, where you just brought up conscious parenting. Like I still do my routines, not in the same way as I did before, And sometimes it doesn't get done. And I give myself grace that if it only happens 4 days out of the week or 3 days out of the week, so be it. Like that's how we roll, you know? And so it is very different when you're at this stage of life, you know, and at the same time, I see women like yourself, you know, I see, you know, not that I want to like name drop people, but, you know, maybe more people that would recognize like the Lori Harders of the world or the Jenna Kutchers of the world, right? Who are not just building, but they're scaling and they're in like full growth mode. And as a woman in business, as an entrepreneur, that has been the most challenging thing for me is to take a step back and know that what is meant for me will not pass me.
Yes.
And that I'm exactly where I'm to be right now, and to really not look at what other people are doing, because I cannot compare myself to what you're doing, what other women are doing who don't have a 10-month-old at home, who they are conscious parenting and who are making that little human the priority.
Yes.
Not a priority. Like she is the priority for me. And so that has been a ping pong in my head. You know, like some days I flex that better than others. And I have to constantly remind myself, like, she's in a different season of her life, you know, and I'm not meant to be doing all the things with that plate full at the speed in which, and there will be a time. And I really believe, as you do, the ability to make money and the ability to create and the ability to grow, it's always available. It's always there, you know? So that for me, if I'm raw, that has been the hardest challenge for me. And reminding myself, like I said, you know, like what is happening for me right now is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Don't compare myself to other people. And knowing I am exactly where I am supposed to be. So I'm not trying to be where Anna is or where Lori is or Jenna Kutcher. Like, you know, that can all come. And so, and that's hard as a high performer, you know, like even like my workout regime has been so different. And like, you know, the voices in your head are like, you're making an excuse and you're like, no, I'm not. Like, give myself grace. And, you know, you're like, I'm
really tired, you know, and I do want to add to this because it's so powerful. Like your awareness is so powerful, is like that ability to scale, that ability to make money, that ability to create will be there because of simply who we are. And I think just always remembering that. However, she's only going to be 10 months once. You know, and I feel like looking back, that's something maybe that I allowed to pass by too quickly. Like I look back, they're 9 and 7 now, which is wild. Like Maya's almost my height. Like she's still little, she's still 9. And, you know, they still play with dolls and toys. And I'm trying to preserve that magic of childhood as long as possible. But like this February, we're entering double digits. And so it's like, yes, we will. And no one's going to forget about you. And you do hold a big vision and purpose and intention. And, you know, everything is a stage. And I think this is like that permission slip, especially to anyone listening who might have really young children or maybe another situation that they're going through in life right now. It's like, if you're in the pause or if you're in the messy middle, remember your essence. Like who you are will never shift. Like you and I make shit happen. And it's also okay to rest. And it's also okay to be fully present in the current season of life that we're in. And this is something that I did not have a grasp on in my, you know, late 20s, early 30s. Because there were all those fears and limiting beliefs. And what if I'm completely forgotten? Or what if I'm never able to go back into that momentum? And, you know, evidence now, hindsight 2020 is no, it's simply a stage of life. And so honor where you are right now. Like I allow this to be your permission slip coming from both of us.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And you just launched a podcast. Let's talk about that real quick. Like, how's it going? It's called the Prosperity Podcast.
The Prosperity Playground. So,
thank you.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of a background. So, I've also been in a really interesting stage of life. So, a little bit older kids right now. But when we sold Love Powered Co., and, you know, for any of your listeners who are like Burlington, Oakville, like that's where everything was launch scaled and sold. I did go into a really tough period of life because, there were those. One thing I promised myself was I'm not going to rush into the next thing simply because I feel like I should, simply because of what I would normally do. And so we came to Mexico. We actually came to Mexico for a month to vacation 2023. And I planted the seed to my husband. I said, what if we spent more time here? It really felt like this inner knowing, this intuitive hit, like an exhale. And so we did that, and we came to Mexico thinking, logical mind, that this is for the kids. They're going to learn Spanish, and, we're not going to have winter and all those things. But I really went into my deep inner world work. And I had always been into personal development, but this was more so like sitting in the discomfort of uncertainty, of not knowing, of, being in this void, but also not rushing through it. And so I would judge it, what am I meant to be doing? Why is this why is nothing flowing? Why is nothing coming through? But the more that I dove in, I realized that it was exactly now being past that, exactly what I needed to, one, realign energetically. I had been in this growth hustle, masculine energy mode, and it is innately a more dominant energy that I hold, that masculine empowered woman. And yet, discovering my feminine, what does she enjoy doing? What does pleasure mean? What does flow feel like? What does not rushing into work first thing in the morning actually allow me to experience within? And so I allowed myself to do that. And then I got really immersed into Dr. Joe Dispenza's. He created a beautiful abundance course. And, someone who would always say, I don't meditate. I have way too much energy to meditate. I started meditating for 70 minutes a day, which was huge. And through that, I know, right? That's a let's pat on the back.
Yeah. We need to take a pause there, and everyone should be applauding Anna. Congratulations. Good for you.
Wow. And Dr. Joe actually, so he reframed the whole concept and idea of the void, because what he says is in the void, all possibility exists. And I was like, oh my gosh, I actually had more of a negative connotation attached to it, the void. I don't know what my next vision is. I don't know what my purpose is. I'm stuck here in this dark hole. And yet when I started meditating, it's this is where creation is. From this space, nothing becomes something. And it was so beautiful. And so as I was going through this 3-week course, it dropped in. The Prosperity Playground as a brand dropped in. So the idea of it being that we all get to live wildly prosperous lives. And I'm not speaking just financially. It's this overflow in every single area of life. This is what I believe our experience here is. And yes, there will be growth and expansion. That's all part of it. But we get to choose from which lens we see it. And so prosperity is overflow. And so I got the download, the vision of this whole brand called the Prosperity Playground. And then I decided that, then we action, that the first action was going to be launching the podcast. Reason being, I'm a 4.6 in human design. I remember when I graduated the Richard Ivey School of Business and started traveling for work, I started journaling, and I had a company idea called Ms. Connector. And never went anywhere, but it really reminded me of my essence and who I am. Is I love connecting people. I love networking. And it was only years later that I learned about human design. And so for me, it was okay, let's launch this as the first product of this brand that, lives in the quantum realm. It is being brought to life into this 3D. And so it's allowed me to reconnect with so many incredible humans that I've met over the last 20 years. And when we talk about ease and flow, it has been ease and flow. Literally, I wrote down, my first iteration of dream guests, every single one outside of one has said yes, has recorded the feedback, and, response from the marketplace has been phenomenal. And so I look at these things, like ease and flow. We talk about it in business. Like, what is it? It is a feeling. And so I do believe in working hard. I do believe in taking action, but the ease and flow is a feeling. It's like, okay, when we're moving towards that goal, what does it feel like? Is it that force push energy, or is it coming together in alignment, which for me is always evidence of, okay, this is on purpose. This is the way it's meant to go. And so, yeah, it's interesting that that's the whole background behind the podcast, but no kidding, it's flowing. Like, look at the powerful frequency that's actually connected to this first product.
Yeah, I love that. And so, tell people, where are you on your podcast? Like, how can people tune into?
Yeah. So, the pod is called The Prosperity Playground, and I mean, it's available everywhere. I do have some metric goals and strategic goals. So like Apple Podcasts is where I'm measuring everything. And, it really is focused on bringing thought leaders, but women who women and men have guested, but like who have that experience. They've gone through the trials, the tribulations. They're able to bring that depth of wisdom and knowledge to add value to founders around the world, both from like the strategy and the soul point. Like, it's fascinating, for me, the goal has always been like, let's dig deep. Like, how deep can we go with guests who maybe I've listened to previous podcasts they've been on, and it's more superficial. So I'm like, I want to take each guest as deep as I can so that we can bring that value to the marketplace.
Hey friend, if this conversation is speaking to you, please do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It's how we grow the show, reach more women, and build a future where Wellthy is female. This isn't just content. This is an invitation to a new society for women. Let's rise and build it together.
So we had to take a quick little commercial break because my little one woke up from her nap, and there wouldn't be anything more fitting than moms in business that we bring our little ones onto the podcast, because this is the flow. Excuse you. You just burp. So everybody, this is Miss Koa Azalea, and she just turned 10 months today. Yes. Is she going to be a powerhouse as well?
Oh, yeah.
It's very fitting that you're on with Anna. Oh, yes. She has so much to teach women. So one of the questions you want to ask Anna, many women, I think today, are very overwhelmed with, especially with the emergence of AI. There's a lot of chatter online around, twofold. One, that, AI is going to wipe out 90% of the workforce by 2030. And by 2030, we are going to see more millionaires and billionaires made in the next 5 years than the 20 years of the internet. And so I would love to get your take on, what advice are you giving to women or to your clients to not just stay grounded in the noise, which is very real, but how are you advising them to be a part of this flow, to not get left behind?
Yeah. Oh, such a good question. I have so many ideas coming to mind right now, but one is, I listened to a brilliant conversation with Gary Vee on the Jamie Kern-Lima show, and he said, this has happened so many times throughout history, with new inventions and new technology. And I think that, if someone is operating from fear, one is, whenever we operate from fear, it's a low frequency and it's not serving. And so likely that is the reality you're going to see. But for me, it's such an exciting time. So one of my dear friends, Callan Faulkner, you guys should definitely give her a follow. She's really leading AI in the States. And she just had a $2 million launch. And what she describes is those who learn how to implement AI. AI is not going to take over humans. Like, that's just it's not going to happen. We operate from intuition. We operate from soul. And so what will be replaced is those jobs that are easily replaceable. And yet I see that as a beautiful thing because we get to leverage it to create more time, to be more productive, to be more efficient. So those things, those jobs, those tasks that we don't enjoy doing otherwise as powerhouse female entrepreneurs, we can leverage AI for. And so I think what is so important right now, and I'm actually a student in Callan's Automate to Accelerate, and it's learning how to implement it and how to leverage it without outsourcing your soul. Like that's my whole intention with AI. And so literally we just finished week 1. I'm skipping week 2 to be on this podcast. I'm going to do the replay. But it's so powerful because even within AI, that you might say, okay, I'm using ChatGPT, but it's like if we can really master how to work with this tool, then we do get our time back. And all those things that can be automated, all those processes, all those workflows, taking a podcast, like right now, we can take this transcript, put it into ChatGPT. We can extract the main points from this conversation. We can turn that into a masterclass. We can get AI to turn it into a masterclass. We have our show notes. We have our episode title, like all those things. And we're not outsourcing our brain. We're not outsourcing our soul. We're literally leveraging it to buy back our time, as Dan Martell says. And so I think we're in a really exciting time. And I really do feel, though, that it is necessary to learn the skills to be the one that can implement AI in your life, in your business, and possibly even teach others how to do so. So that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, no, I mean that I love what you said because, it really takes out the fear mongering that is happening. And I think we all have experienced it. Like, even myself, it's like, oh my God, okay, we got so much to learn. We got so much to do, and leveraging is so important and learning how to implement it properly.
And I feel like, so you and I, even just history, we've gone through so many eras in this world of like fear mongering, right? And it's like, do you choose to allow that to take over your life, or do you choose to do something about it? And so here it's like, absolutely, it can be overwhelming. It is moving so fast. And so for me, it's like when I found Callan, I actually met her at a beautiful mastermind retreat in Tulum last year. I was like, okay, she is my go-to woman who I want to learn the skills so that I don't have any desire to teach it, but I do have a desire to learn it so I can implement it in my own life. And so I'll give you an example. So I gave the example of how we can easily leverage it, just as this podcast interview, but I'm hosting a retreat for founders in Mexico in January. And so I put that into chat and I said, create for me a minute by minute itinerary, keeping in consideration these facilitators, this private chef, these dates. And like, even that, how much time it saved me to put together an agenda, an itinerary. It's not perfect yet, but it's up to me to get more information. And it provided me with links for transportation companies, links for different facilitators, which again, that for me, I just wanted to see what's in the area of coming from AI, but I know beautiful facilitators in the area. And just the brain power of the minute by minute. Because I know for me, that's where I would get overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, when we have rest time, then 2 people are getting massages and biohacking treatments, but how does that flow with the rest of the day? So it just scheduled everything so masterfully. But what I did well was the prompt. And then after it gave me the first iteration of the itinerary, I said, what else would you add to this itinerary to literally blow the socks off the women who are coming to this retreat? And then it added gift bags. It added a few other ideas that I was like, oh, brilliant. Let's do that. So it's like, this is how like I am in control of the prompts, and then I am actually saving time, right? So I think like it's really powerful. So I feel like choose your expert and learn. Use this time to accelerate your own knowledge. And as Neil Donald Walsh says, it's like the purpose of life is expansion. So it's like, where can we learn and continue growing? And this is one area that I think is really important for us to do so.
And are you primarily, are you only using like ChatGPT, or are there other AI tools or apps that you started to employ?
See, this is a great question. And this is where, for me, I get overwhelmed. So it's like, yes, Caroline talks about Claude and she talks about Perplexity. And it's like, for me, I've been working with Chat for over a year. It's like, Chat and I got a relationship going. I don't have capacity to learn another one. And each one I feel like has its own like zone of genius. One is more for research. And, I know friends that bounce back and forth with Claude and Chat. For me, that felt overwhelming. And so I just decided to zone in on this and continue just bettering my skills using the specific platform. But that's like me, so you have to see what feels good for you. And I feel like, it's just a beautiful opportunity to learn something new.
Yeah. For me, I would say my primarily is still like ChatGPT. Like it's like my homegirl, my homeboy. Like I'm always, and for like anything and everything. Like I have an app on my phone. I'll give you like just talking about buying back Simple Time that would convert like metrics to imperial, whether it's like measurement or mass or distance or like, grams, like all to ounces, all of this stuff. But I would have to put in the grams, scroll and then find on the other side and put it in. And yes, you can throw it into Google, but it's like not the same thing. Like anyways, I would have this app that was like more efficient than doing it on Google. Now, like literally on Chat, I'm like, what is this? Da, 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 da. And it's just like, or even just things like that, where I know some people might think like that sounds silly, but it's all about outsourcing things that you shouldn't be doing. Right. And these are like tasks that like, they're so, whether you bring it into your business, like these small little tasks that you shouldn't be doing in your business, but you're not necessarily wanting to pay somebody else to do, because unless you're paying $4 an hour, it's like, that doesn't make sense to pay somebody to do it. And now you're able to use AI to do all these minuscule tasks that still need to get done. And they're free.
Exactly.
How like you're not right and buying back your time, but you're also increasing your profit margins, and like that's a win-win for
100%. And think about like podcasting before AI, like those three main points that we talk about. Like, did you have to remember, re-listen to the episode? It's like right now we're putting the transcript into Chat. And for me, it's intro based on the bio. It's creating the three main talking points, and it's giving me 10 options for the title. And so, yes, I'm still using my brain and saving time.
Sorry, Anna.
Here she is. It's like, I am done with this Anna woman. I'm just joking. You're not done with me. You like me.
No, I agree with you. Like even my podcast producer and I, like he used to do all of the show notes for me. And now like I've redirected funds that was allocated for him, where I'm like, you're not doing show notes for me. Like they're already like
done in
2 seconds, And so even that's been great. I've been able to like take that budget and now redirect it and reinvest it into something else, like within the podcast, which is so fantastic. So like things like that, it's mind blowing.
I would be so curious. So your dad's a successful entrepreneur, right? Like and he's older, like in his 60s, I'm assuming. Yeah. So what are his thoughts on AI? Is it something they're interested in learning? Is it something that like, oh, I'm not touching this? Like what is 67-year-old thinking about this?
Yeah. So my father will be 65 in November. Yeah. So next month he will be, 65. There's a fine line between you can't teach old dogs new tricks. Okay. And he's also, European mindset, which is a whole added layer, as Anna knows, being Eastern European yourself, you understand, that those two things combined, where it's like you're set in your ways, you've done something that's worked for a long period of time. And as a leader in the industry, you also know you're constantly needing to evolve and set trends. And so part of that is knowing, and we brought in speakers around AI for our team, because even our agents, it's not just us lead. Are you chasing hey? Oh, now that I start talking, you stop talking too.
Exactly, Mom. You invited me on the show, Mom, and now you're cutting me off.
Because it's not like, as a team leader, you can lead the way and lead the charge, but if the rest of your people don't follow, then not that it's pointless, but you need the rest of your people to follow, right? They have to buy into your vision. And that's any team leader is needing to sell the dream, sell the vision, pitching what the future looks like and having people come on board with that. And so, yeah, we've had to bring in different speakers to educate, because a lot of our team members are older.
Yeah.
I'm one of the younger realtors on our team. And so the younger people get it and they just eat it up. They're like more,
yeah.
But it's an older demographic where if you want to be relevant in 5 years, and if you still want to be seen as a go-to expert in your field, then you have to learn how to, on a personal and an individual level, be implementing AI, but on a, corporate level, on a business level, from the top down, it should be in every area of your business.
I agree.
So
I think
that takes a little more time.
Yeah.
Than for others. Like, obviously, like if you're like a Dan Martell, since you brought him up earlier, he's kind of in between that sandwich of 40 to the 60. He's like in between. And so he gets it from both sides, and I mean, he puts out all kinds of content on how to deliver proper prompts and what is the outcome that you're looking for. And, so he's great for that.
I think, I just want to add to, I think the one thing, like, as you're saying this, I think what every single person, you're irrelevant of age and, what industry you're in, is like, ask yourself, what is the one thing that I'm doing on repeat and it's taking so much of my time? I think that's where I really opened up to him, like, oh my gosh, okay, this is that one thing that I do over and over and over again manually, versus now I have AI. So like, list out those things. What are those things that your work, your job, your career requires of you that you're doing manually on repeat? That's the first thing that needs to go to AI. And over time, you will learn how to prompt properly. And I think this one thing that Callan always talks about is like, talk to it as a person, right? Like, you have to, like, you wouldn't agree to everything in a conversation you're having with your spouse or your friend or, a business partner. It's like, question everything. You and I talk about critical thinking skills all the time. So it's like, push those buttons, go deeper. And the other like super hack that she always talks about is, at the very end of every single prompt, tell AI, so chat in this case, ask me any clarifying questions. Because if you don't do that, then it's going to likely say what you want it to say. But this is how we move deeper. So it's like, ask me those clarifying questions allows you to even create that next layer of depth in the prompt.
Yeah. And it's funny, but not funny. And I love that you brought this up around, anytime you have an opportunity to challenge or correct or to go deeper on something, you're actually training your AI around what it is that you are looking for your brand, for your clients, whatever. I have argued with chat a handful of times, being like, you're not getting my point.
Yes, exactly.
I've literally said that. I'm like, why am I not sounding clear?
Yes.
How could I say this more clear so you can understand what I'm asking for? This is what I need. Boom, 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 boom. Do it again.
100%. And I feel like this is, another one hack, since we're on this conversation, is go through your memory. When I first went through my memory, the very first time, I was like, oh my gosh, all this is saved. It's not relevant to what I want it to deliver back to me. So it's under settings, personalization, memory. Every quarter, look at your memory, delete what's non-relevant, because you're training it with every single time you're using it. So use the memory hack and use the ask clarifying questions every single time.
I love that. Well, Anna, Not that I want to keep going. I always want to keep going. I feel like we should do like a part 2. You need to take your nap a little longer.
I love that you're still doing it, record in person. And I'm so sorry. I realized I was in London, Ontario, going to an event in Burlington. I was like, oh my gosh, Burlington, Toronto traffic is like, girl, I'm not used to that anymore.
No, I know. And it is horrendous. So I get it. But you would have been able to meet her because she would not have been in the actual podcast studio.
Oh, Munchkin. Well, I can't wait to officially meet her. She's so sweet. Thank you for having me. I'm always here to bring me and my energy.
Oh, always. And let me just ask you in one closing thought, my goodness, that I always love asking is if you could leave one piece of wealth advice to the next generation of women or female founders, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say that your vision is yours for a reason. Your idea is yours for a reason. Your product, your service, your offering, it's yours for a reason. It has come through you. You have channeled it for a reason. And if you don't motion it, if you don't put it to action, if you don't bring it into reality, someone else will. And so if you've been gifted a vision, make it happen. Just go for it, create it. The journey will likely be messy. And this is part of life. This is evolution. This is growth. This is expansion. Like, have fun with everything. I look at, at 41 now, I'm like, shit, we take things so seriously. Like, have so much fun doing what you're doing. And like you said, if something is meant for you, it will never pass you by. I truly believe that. Like, that for me is an embodiment, and that allows me to really sit in the trust and the faith when things are hard.
Yeah. I love it. So good. So good. Miss Koa, you say bye to Miss Anna.
Bye, sweetheart. Thanks for being on the show, you little podcaster cutie.
Yeah, this is her actual first real official appearance. So actually kind of special, and today is her 10 month. Yes.
It's going to be so cute on our reel. I'm so grateful. Bye, Miss Koa. Happy birthday.
If something in today's episode resonated with you or sparked a shift, tag me on IG or send me a DM. I genuinely love hearing what lands for you. And if it spoke to you, share it or leave a quick review. It helps more women find this show and step into their own wealthy era. Until next time, lead with purpose, live with intention, and stay wealthy.